When someone distances themselves from you or begins to ignore you, it's easy to internalize their behavior and question your worth. This response is natural, as humans are wired to seek connection and belonging. However, the key to navigating the situation lies in understanding that your worth is not defined by how someone else treats you. Your value as a person is intrinsic and unchanging, regardless of external circumstances. The actions of others are often reflections of their inner world, filled with fears, insecurities, and personal struggles, rather than a direct commentary on who you are. Recognizing this truth is the first step in reclaiming your power. When you understand your worth, you begin to see that seeking validation from others is a trap. Validation is fleeting, and when it comes from external sources, it can never fully satisfy. The moment someone withdraws their attention or approval, you may feel unsteady, as if your foundation has crumbled. But when your self-worth is rooted internally, it becomes unshakable. This is why understanding your worth is critical. It's about building a foundation within yourself that no one can undermine. It's about recognizing that you are enough just as you are, independent of anyone else's opinion or behavior. Think about how often we tie our value to external achievements, relationships, or the approval of others. Society conditions us to seek applause, to measure our worth based on how many people like us, follow us, or want to be in our presence. But this is a fragile foundation. People are unpredictable, and their attention is often fleeting. They may distance themselves for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Perhaps they're overwhelmed, dealing with personal issues, or unsure of their own feelings. Whatever the reason, their actions are not a reliable measure of your value. To truly understand your worth, you must shift your perspective. Begin by examining how you see yourself, free from the lens of others' opinions. Who are you when no one is watching? What are your core values, your strengths, and your unique qualities? Spend time reflecting on the things that make you feel alive, the passions that drive you, and the principles that guide your life. These are the anchors of your worth, unchanging and unwavering, no matter how others behave. It's also important to recognize that self-worth isn't about arrogance or thinking you're better than others. It's about acknowledging your humanity and embracing your imperfections, while knowing that they don't diminish your value. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. And you certainly don't need to chase after people who fail to see it. The moment you start chasing, you're implicitly sending the message that their validation matters more than your own. You're not what you think you are, and you're not what you believe you should be. This is where many people falter, by placing others on a pedestal and forgetting their own inherent value. Understanding your worth also involves setting boundaries. When someone distances themselves or ignores you, it's easy to overextend yourself, trying to bring them back into your life. You might reach out repeatedly, offer explanations, or even compromise your values in the hope of rekindling the connection. But every time you overextend, you chip away at your self-respect. True self-worth means recognizing when it's time to step back and honor your boundaries. It's about saying, I respect myself enough not to beg for someone's attention or approval. This process of reclaiming your worth requires self-awareness and intentionality. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're accustomed to seeking external validation. But with practice, you'll begin to notice a shift in how you view yourself and how others respond to you. When you stand firm in your worth, you exude confidence. And confidence is magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who value themselves. because it signals stability, strength, and self-assurance. Understanding your worth also means being compassionate with yourself. It's easy to spiral into self-criticism when someone distances themselves. You might replay past interactions, searching for something you did wrong, or convince yourself that you're not good enough. But these thoughts are not only unhelpful, they're untrue. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. It's about acknowledging your feelings without letting them define you. As you cultivate this mindset, you'll start to see rejection or distance in a new light. Instead of viewing it as a reflection of your inadequacy, you'll understand it as a natural part of life. Not every connection is meant to last, and that's okay. Sometimes people come into your life to teach you lessons, and when their role is complete, they leave. This doesn't diminish your worth. If anything, it highlights the dynamic nature of life and relationships. No, when you truly understand your worth, you also develop the ability to recognize when a relationship no longer serves you. This doesn't mean you're cold or indifferent. It means you're discerning. You can approach situations with clarity, knowing that your value doesn't depend on someone else's presence or approval. You become more selective about where you invest your time and energy, focusing on relationships that uplift and inspire you rather than those that drain or diminish you. In this journey, self-awareness becomes your compass. The more you understand your worth, the less you'll feel the need to chase. When someone distances themselves or begins to ignore you, it's natural to feel an emotional response: confusion, frustration, sadness, or even anger. These emotions can become overwhelming, leading you to act impulsively or seek immediate resolution. However, the key to handling such situations with grace and strength lies in mastering emotional detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you develop the ability to separate your emotions from the situation, allowing you to maintain control over your actions and thoughts, rather than letting them be dictated by external circumstances. Emotional detachment begins with acknowledging the reality of the situation without allowing it to dominate your mental and emotional state. When someone pulls away, the immediate impulse may be to chase after them or demand answers. This response is rooted in fear of loss, rejection, or abandonment. But acting out of fear only compounds the emotional turmoil. Detachment requires stepping back and creating a mental space where you can observe what's happening without reacting impulsively. It's about taking a deep breath and reminding yourself that their behavior is not within your control, but your response is. Understanding that you experience breakups and fights is not a blessing or a curse, but an opportunity to test your patience. Learning to detach emotionally doesn't mean suppressing or denying your feelings. On the contrary, it involves recognizing and processing them in a healthy way. It's okay to feel hurt or disappointed when someone distances themselves. Those emotions are valid. But instead of letting them consume you, view them as temporary experiences that don't define your worth or dictate your actions. Allow yourself to feel without becoming entangled in the emotions. This is a skill that takes practice. But over time, it becomes a powerful tool for maintaining your emotional equilibrium. One of the most significant challenges in emotional detachment is breaking free from the habit of over-analyzing the other person's actions. The mind often seeks to fill in gaps with assumptions, creating narratives that may not be true. You might find yourself replaying conversations, searching for signs of what went wrong, or blaming yourself for their behavior. This mental spiral not only drains your energy, but also reinforces a sense of dependence on their actions for your emotional stability. Detachment requires recognizing when you're falling into this pattern and consciously redirecting your thoughts. Instead of asking, why are they ignoring me? Ask, what can I do to center myself in this moment? Detachment also involves setting boundaries with yourself. These internal boundaries help you resist the urge to act out of desperation or insecurity. For instance, you might feel tempted to send multiple messages, call repeatedly, or confront the person in an attempt to gain clarity. While these actions might provide temporary relief, they often lead to more frustration and disappointment in the long run. Emotional detachment means recognizing when your actions are driven by anxiety rather than clarity and choosing to pause instead of reacting. An essential aspect of emotional detachment is shifting your focus inward. When someone distances themselves, it's easy to become fixated on their behavior, trying to interpret their motives or predict their next move. But this focus only gives away your power. Detachment involves redirecting that energy toward yourself, your goals, passions, and well-being. By doing so, you reclaim the power you might have unconsciously given to the other person and channel it into something productive and fulfilling. This shift in focus not only strengthens your sense of self, but also reduces the emotional impact of their behavior. Developing detachment also requires understanding that you are not responsible for how others choose to act. People have their reasons for distancing themselves. And those reasons are often rooted in their own fears, insecurities, or personal struggles. While their actions may affect you, they are not a reflection of your worth or value. So, detachment allows you to separate their behavior from your self-perception, giving you the clarity to see the situation for what it is rather than what your emotions might amplify it to be. Another critical element of emotional detachment is the practice of mindfulness. When you're emotionally entangled in a situation, your mind often isolates between the past and the future, replaying what has already happened or worrying about what might happen next. Mindfulness brings you back to the present moment, grounding you in the here and now. Through practices such as deep breathing, meditation, or simply paying attention to your surroundings, you can create a sense of calm and clarity that helps you navigate emotionally charged situations with greater ease. Detachment also involves cultivating a sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about the person or the relationship. It means you prioritize your emotional well-being. It's about finding a balance between compassion for others and self-respect for yourself. When you master detachment, you can engage with others from a place of strength rather than neediness. You need the word Lowry. You need the word Willie. You're able to give love and support without losing yourself in the process. And you're better equipped to handle the ups and downs of relationships with grace and resilience. The process of detachment is not about building walls, but about creating a healthy emotional distance that allows you to respond rather than react. It's about recognizing that while you cannot control how others behave, you have full control over your inner world. This realization is liberating and empowering, enabling you to navigate challenging situations without losing your sense of self. It's a practice that requires patience, self-awareness, and commitment, but the rewards are profound. When you learn to detach emotionally, you free yourself from the need to chase, fix, or forced outcomes. Instead, you create space for clarity, growth, and the possibility of deeper, more authentic connections. So, When someone begins to distance themselves or ignore you, the initial instinct is often to bridge the gap immediately. However, the most powerful response in such situations is to focus entirely on yourself. This isn't about indifference or retaliation. It's about prioritizing your growth, well-being, and self-discovery over the distractions caused by someone else's behavior. Focusing on yourself is not just an act of self-care, but a declaration of independence from the need for external validation, creating a foundation for a healthier, more fulfilled life. One of the most significant aspects of focusing on yourself is rediscovering what makes you unique. Over time, especially in close relationships, people can lose sight of their individuality, blending their priorities with those of others. When someone pulls away, it's an opportunity to step back and reassess who you are outside the context of that connection. This rediscovery process involves identifying your passions, talents, and values. What excites you? What challenges ignite your curiosity? What goals have you set aside in the pursuit of maintaining relationships? These questions are not merely reflective exercises. They are a pathway back to yourself, helping you realign with your personal ambitions and desires. The mistakes we make as human beings cost us a chance to be who it is we're meant to be. Investing in your personal development is another critical step in this process. When someone distances themselves, it can leave you with an emotional void. And the natural inclination might be to fill it with overthinking or dwelling on their absence. Instead, channel that energy into learning and growth. Take a course, read books that inspire you, or develop new skills that enhance your confidence and broaden your horizons. Every hour spent on self-improvement is an investment in your future self. A self that is more resilient, empowered, and self-assured. The progress you make in these moments will not only benefit you, but also redefine how others perceive and respond to you. Physical and mental well-being are also central to focusing on yourself. Often, when dealing with the emotional turbulence of someone's withdrawal, people neglect their own health. Stress, anxiety, and sadness can manifest in physical symptoms, making it all the more important to prioritize your body and mind. Commit to a fitness routine, explore healthy eating habits, and ensure you're getting enough rest. Those drifts are natural and necessary. After all, you wake up in the same bed every day. Beyond the physical benefits, taking care of your health sends a powerful message to yourself and others that you value and respect yourself enough to prioritize your well-being, no matter the external circumstances. At the same time, focusing on yourself requires setting emotional boundaries. When someone pulls away, it can be tempting to try and reconnect with them constantly, seeking clarity or closure. But this often results in an unhealthy dynamic where your energy is poured into someone who may not be reciprocating. By establishing boundaries, you create space for yourself to heal and reflect. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your energy and ensuring that your actions come from a place of strength rather than desperation. Focusing on yourself also means cultivating your inner world. This is the time to engage in practices that bring you peace, clarity, and joy. Whether it's journaling, meditating, painting, or spending time in nature, these activities allow you to connect with your innermost self. They serve as a reminder that your happiness and fulfillment come from within and are not contingent upon anyone else's actions or presence. As you deepen this connection with yourself, you'll notice a shift in how you experience life. External circumstances, including someone's withdrawal, will begin to hold less sway over your emotions and sense of self-worth. Social connections outside of the one causing you distress are another important aspect of focusing on yourself. Often, when someone distances themselves, it can feel like a loss of community or support. But this is an opportunity to reconnect with friends, family, or colleagues who uplift and encourage you. Surround yourself with people who see your value and celebrate your growth. Start building. These connections remind you that you are loved and appreciated, helping to counteract the emotional void left by someone's withdrawal. A crucial component of focusing on yourself is learning to let go of the need for explanations or closure. When someone distances themselves, it's natural to seek answers, wanting to know why they've chosen to withdraw. But the truth is, their reasons may have little to do with you and everything to do with their personal journey. Waiting for explanations can keep you stuck in a cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. And instead, redirect that energy toward your own growth. Accepting the unknown is a form of empowerment, allowing you to move forward without being tethered to someone else's decisions or actions. Focusing on yourself is not about ignoring your emotions or pretending that the situation doesn't affect you. It's about acknowledging your feelings while choosing not to be defined by them. It's about recognizing that your life is too precious to be spent waiting for someone else to validate your worth or affirm your importance. Each day spent focusing on yourself is a day invested in building a stronger, more resilient version of you. Another aspect of focusing on yourself involves celebrating your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem. When dealing with emotional upheaval, it's easy to overlook the progress you're making. But each step you take toward your goals, each moment of self-care, and each boundary you set is a victory. By celebrating these wins, you reinforce the idea that you are capable and worthy, boosting your confidence and self-esteem. Ultimately, focusing on yourself is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that your life is your own and that you have the ability to create joy, meaning, and fulfillment independent of anyone else's actions. This shift in perspective is transformative, allowing you to approach life with renewed clarity and purpose. As you focus on yourself, you'll find that the energy once spent on chasing or overthinking is now directed toward building the life you deserve. Now, when someone distances themselves or ignores you, the natural reaction is often to analyze their behavior and wonder about their intentions. However, a powerful and often overlooked response is to create and maintain emotional detachment. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings or becoming cold-hearted. Rather, it's about preserving your emotional stability and reclaiming control over your responses. Emotional detachment is not a denial of connection, but a skillful way to protect your energy, reduce unnecessary suffering, and regain clarity about what truly matters. The brightest lights, the calmest, and the most emotional detachment begins with recognizing the patterns of overattachment. When someone pulls away, it can trigger a deep sense of rejection or abandonment, often stemming from past experiences. These feelings can spiral into an obsessive need for answers, validation, or reconciliation, leading to behaviors like over-communicating or over-analyzing every interaction. To break free from this cycle, you must first acknowledge the emotional hooks that keep you tethered to someone else's actions. These hooks often take the form of expectations, expecting them to act a certain way, to explain their behavior, or to provide closure. Letting go of these expectations is the first step toward emotional freedom. One way to detach emotionally is by practicing mindfulness. When someone's withdrawal triggers anxiety or sadness, those emotions can feel overwhelming. Mindfulness allows you to observe these feelings without becoming consumed by them. By sitting with your emotions, acknowledging them, and letting them pass, you build the capacity to respond rather than react. This process shifts the focus from the external, what they're doing or not doing, to the internal, how you choose to experience the situation. With practice, mindfulness creates a buffer between your emotions and your actions, empowering you to maintain your composure and protect your peace. Emotional detachment also involves reframing your perspective. When someone distances themselves, it's easy to internalize their behavior as a reflection of your worth. However, their actions are often rooted in their own insecurities, fears, or circumstances, and may have little to do with you. By reframing the situation, you can view their distance not as a personal rejection, but as a neutral event, something that doesn't define your value or dictate your emotional state. This shift in perspective not only reduces the emotional impact of their behavior, but also reinforces the understanding that your happiness and self-esteem are not contingent on their approval. A key aspect of emotional detachment is setting boundaries, not just with others, but also with yourself. When someone ignores you, it's tempting to constantly check your phone, revisit old conversations, or speculate about what went wrong. These behaviors only reinforce your emotional dependence on the situation. Setting boundaries with yourself means limiting these habits and redirecting your attention to more productive or fulfilling activities. It also involves drawing a line with the person who has distanced themselves, resisting the urge to overextend yourself or chase their attention. By establishing and respecting these boundaries, you signal to yourself and others that your emotional energy is valuable and deserves protection. Another important practice in emotional detachment is focusing on your own life. When someone withdraws, it can feel as though your world has shrunk, with their absence casting a shadow over everything else. To counteract this, immerse yourself in activities that bring you joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Whether it's pursuing a hobby, advancing your career, or strengthening your relationships with supportive people, redirecting your energy toward your own life shifts the focus away from the person who has distanced themselves. This not only helps you move forward, but also reminds you that your life is rich and meaningful, independent of their presence. Developing emotional detachment also requires patience and self-compassion. It's natural to feel hurt, confused, or frustrated when someone distances themselves. And detaching emotionally doesn't mean suppressing these feelings. Instead, it involves acknowledging your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Be kind to yourself as you navigate this process, understanding that emotional detachment is a skill that takes time to master. Self-reflection. Each step you take toward detachment is an act of self-care, reinforcing your commitment to your own well-being. Journaling can be a powerful tool for fostering emotional detachment. Writing down your thoughts and feelings allows you to process them in a constructive way, creating a sense of distance between you and the situation. As you journal, focus on identifying patterns in your reactions and exploring ways to shift your perspective. For example, if you notice that you're fixating on why someone has withdrawn, challenge yourself to reframe the situation by focusing on what you can control. This practice not only helps you gain clarity, but also reinforces your ability to detach emotionally. Another aspect of emotional detachment is understanding the difference between caring and attachment. Caring involves compassion and empathy, while attachment often stems from a need for control or validation. When you care for someone, you can acknowledge their behavior without letting it consume you. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you release the need to control or fix the situation. This distinction allows you to approach relationships from a place of strength rather than neediness, fostering healthier and more balanced connections. Spiritual or philosophical practices can also support emotional detachment. Many traditions emphasize the importance of non-attachment as a path to inner peace. By embracing the idea that everything in life is temporary, including relationships, you can cultivate a sense of acceptance and gratitude for what you have, rather than clinging to what you fear losing. This perspective not only reduces the emotional impact of someone's withdrawal, but also deepens your sense of resilience and self-sufficiency. As you cultivate emotional detachment, you may notice a shift in how others respond to you. When you're no longer emotionally dependent on their actions, they may perceive you as more confident, composed, and self-assured. This can create a dynamic where their behavior becomes less significant as your sense of self is no longer tied to their attention or approval. Now, this transformation reinforces the idea that emotional detachment is not just about protecting yourself, but about empowering yourself to live authentically and unapologetically. When someone distances themselves or begins to ignore you, one of the most powerful responses is to focus on self-improvement. This isn't just about proving a point or trying to win them back. It's about rediscovering and cultivating your own worth, independent of their actions. Self-improvement is a transformative process that allows you to channel your energy into becoming the best version of yourself. It shifts the narrative from one of rejection and loss to one of growth and empowerment. Focusing on self-improvement starts with a deep and honest evaluation of where you currently stand in life. Take the time to reflect on your strengths, weaknesses, and the areas you've been neglecting. This process requires courage because it often reveals uncomfortable truths about how you've been prioritizing others' needs over your own. Maybe you've been too eager to please or overly focused on maintaining relationships to the detriment of your own goals and aspirations. If you've been too eager to please or overly focused on maintaining relationships to the detriment of your own goals and aspirations, this is an opportunity to realign your focus, set clear intentions, and invest in areas of your life that bring you joy and fulfillment. One effective way to embark on this journey is to revisit your passions and interests. When you're consumed by the actions or inactions of others, it's easy to lose sight of what makes you unique and vibrant. Ask yourself, what activities light you up? What have you always wanted to try but never pursued? These passions are not just distractions. They are pathways to rediscovering your identity and building a life that feels meaningful. Whether it's picking up a creative hobby, diving into fitness, or learning a new skill, pursuing your interests helps you reconnect with yourself and creates a sense of accomplishment that isn't tied to anyone else's validation. Another critical aspect of self-improvement is setting and working toward goals. Goals give you a sense of purpose and direction, helping you stay focused on your own growth rather than the behavior of others. These goals can be personal, professional, or a mix of both. Maybe it's time to advance in your career, start a side business, or improve your physical health. The process of setting goals or improve your physical health. The process of setting goals involves not only identifying what you want, but also creating actionable steps to get there. This requires discipline, determination, and the ability to stay consistent, all of which strengthen your confidence and resilience. And physical health often plays a significant role in self-improvement. When you feel ignored or distanced by someone, it can take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. Engaging in regular exercise, eating well, and prioritizing rest can help you regain control over your energy levels and emotional stability. Exercise, in particular, has a transformative effect on your mood and self-position. It releases endorphins, reduces stress, and boosts confidence, helping you feel more grounded and empowered. Physical health is not just about looking good. It's about feeling strong, capable, and ready to take on challenges with a renewed sense of vigor. Self-improvement also involves working on your emotional and mental health. When someone's withdrawal triggers feelings of rejection, it can unearth deeper insecurities or unresolved wounds. This is the time to confront those emotions and work through them rather than allowing them to fester. Practices like journaling, meditation, or therapy can provide invaluable tools for processing your feelings and gaining insight into your emotional patterns. By understanding why certain behaviors affect you so deeply, you can begin to release old fears and build a stronger sense of self. Developing new skills is another cornerstone of self-improvement. When someone distances themselves, it often leaves a void in your life, one that can be filled with opportunities for growth. Consider enrolling in a course, attending workshops, or reading books on topics that interest you. These activities not only expand your knowledge, but also introduce you to new perspectives and potential connections with like-minded individuals. Learning something new is a reminder of your capacity to evolve and adapt, reinforcing the idea that your value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Cultivating your social network is an often overlooked aspect of self-improvement. When someone pulls away, it's tempting to isolate yourself. But this only amplifies feelings of rejection and loneliness. Instead, use this time to strengthen your relationships with people who genuinely care about you. Reach out to friends, family, or mentors who uplift and inspire you. Surrounding yourself with positive influences creates a support system that can help you navigate challenges and celebrate your growth. It also reinforces the idea that your worth isn't confined to a single relationship. It's reflected in the connections you build and nurture. Financial growth is another powerful area of self-improvement. If someone's distance has left you feeling unmoored, focusing on your financial independence and stability can be incredibly empowering. This could mean creating a budget, paying off debt, or exploring new income opportunities. Financial growth isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about creating the freedom to live life on your terms. This sense of autonomy can be a game changer, reminding you that your happiness and success are within your control. Self-improvement also involves cultivating a positive mindset. When someone distances themselves, it's easy to spiral into negative thinking, questioning your worth or replaying past interactions. Instead, focus on developing a mindset that embraces challenges as opportunities for growth. Affirmations, gratitude practices, and surrounding yourself with taking control of your narrative is a vital part of this process. When someone ignores or distances themselves, it's easy to fall into a pattern of overthinking, self-blame, or creating stories in your mind about why they've behaved this way. These stories often exaggerate your perceived flaws or shortcomings, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy. Instead, choose to rewrite the narrative. Rather than focusing on what you might have done wrong, remind yourself that their actions are a reflection of their own internal struggles, priorities, or circumstances. Reframing the situation empowers you to see it from a healthier perspective, reducing the emotional weight it carries. Building self-confidence is another cornerstone of self-empowerment. Confidence is not something you gain from others. It's cultivated from within. Begin by acknowledging your strengths, talents, and past accomplishments. Write them down, reflect on them, and let them remind you of your capabilities. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small, and use them as evidence that you are competent and worthy. Confidence grows when you take steps outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself to face fears, and accomplish things you once doubted you could achieve. Each step forward reinforces the belief that you are capable and resilient. Another critical aspect of self-empowerment is learning to trust yourself. Trusting yourself means having faith in your ability to make decisions, handle challenges, and navigate life's complexities. It involves listening to your intuition and honoring your inner voice, rather than constantly seeking external validation or approval. When someone distances themselves, it can trigger doubts and second guessing, but this is an opportunity to practice self-reliance. Remind yourself that you have the wisdom and strength to navigate this situation and that your worth isn't contingent on anyone else's actions. Developing emotional resilience is key to self-empowerment. Life is full of unpredictable events and relationships, and not everyone will meet your expectations or reciprocate your efforts. Emotional resilience allows you to weather these ups and downs without losing your sense of stability or purpose. Building resilience starts with accepting that you cannot control others' actions, only your response to them. Practice mindfulness and grounding techniques to stay present and avoid being consumed by negative emotions. Self-empowerment also involves cultivating a sense of independence. Independence doesn't mean cutting yourself off from others or refusing help. It means recognizing that your happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from external sources. Focus on creating a life that feels rich and meaningful to you. Pursue hobbies, passions, and goals that align with your values and bring you joy. Develop skills that make you feel capable and self-sufficient. Financial independence, for instance, can be a powerful form of empowerment, giving you the freedom to make choices that align with your own needs and desires. Setting and enforcing boundaries is a powerful act of self-empowerment. When someone distances themselves or ignores you, it can create a dynamic where you feel tempted to chase after their attention or overextend yourself to bridge the gap. This behavior often leads to frustration, rejection, or resentment. Instead, use this opportunity to establish clear boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Boundaries communicate that you respect yourself enough not to tolerate behaviors that diminish your self-esteem or sense of worth. Enforcing boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others' needs before your own, but it's a crucial step towards self-respect and empowerment. Taking charge of your environment is another empowering strategy. Surround yourself with people who uplift, inspire, and support you. Distance yourself from toxic influences or individuals who drain your energy. Create a physical and emotional environment that fosters growth, positivity, and self-discovery. Whether it's decluttering your space, curating a playlist of motivational content, or spending time in nature, these small changes can have a profound impact on your state of mind and sense of empowerment. Lastly, self-empowerment involves embracing your authenticity and letting go of the need for external validation. When someone distances themselves or ignores you, it can be tempting to alter your behavior, appearance, or personality in an attempt to win them back. This approach is not only unsustainable, but also undermines your sense of self. True empowerment comes from accepting and celebrating who you are, flaws and all. Embrace your unique qualities, express yourself unapologetically, and prioritize what feels right for you over what might please others. When you live authentically, you attract people and opportunities that align with your true self, rather than those that require you to compromise your values or identity.